All right, the Passion of Nehemiah. As we begin this lesson, I want you to show of hands how many over the last year heard this statement. It's just to slow the spread. You've heard that statement. We're just trying to slow the spread. We just want this to get a little bit better and a little bit better. How many of you heard this phrase? It's just the new normal. I hate that one, by the way. It's just the new normal. All because, we want to tell you what you can do, what you can't do. We want to tell you can't go to work. We want to tell you can't go to worship. We want to tell you that what you can do throughout your life. It seems like that's what they wanted to do. It's just the new normal. I thought of that as I was thinking about Nehemiah as he had to come back and rebuild this wall. And perhaps he was told it's just the new normal. Just the way it is. It's been this way for several years now. We've been back in town. Zerubbabel led the first group. Ezra leads the second group. And then Nehemiah comes. They've been there for several years. It's just the way it is, Nehemiah. It's just the new normal. Nehemiah had to be passionate in order to get the job done. What in the world is passion? Well, the best definition that I could think of was it's desire on steroids. It's interest on steroids. Someone who is passionate, they are strong, they are devotional, they are devoted, trying to accomplish what it is they're trying to accomplish. Passionate leaders know how to get things done. They know how to achieve things. They know what is needed. They're willing to go above and beyond what is required. They have ambition, and that ambition is materialized into action that puts things into motion, then it allows it to get done and accomplished. That's passion. This is Nehemiah. We all know that we need leaders. We all know that we need good leaders. We know that that's needed. And Nehemiah was a good leader. In 556, the king of Babylon takes the Jews into captivity. And in the process of doing that, the walls are broken down. They encompass the city. They loot the city. They've taken captive. They're led 800 miles where they will become slaves. Then the Persians come and they are now in power. They overtake the Babylonians, and now you have King Cyrus who's reigning, and he's going to allow them to go back to their land. They do that in three waves like we just mentioned a moment ago. Zerubbabel leading the first group. His intent was to rebuild the temple, the restoring of the city and the temple. Ezra leads the second group. Nehemiah leads the third. And that's where we find Nehemiah going back to rebuild the wall. That's what his intent was. And so let's think a bit then about Nehemiah's passion, the passionate leadership of Nehemiah. Number one, Nehemiah's passion is seen in his purpose. Passion will lead you to a purpose. We see this from the very beginning of Nehemiah. Nehemiah chapter 1, verses 1 through 4. He is getting word of what has happened, what has occurred to his people. And he's told, Hananiah comes to him, and he begins to say, and he said unto me, the remnant that are left of the captivity, there in the province are in great affliction and reproach. The wall of Jerusalem is also broken down. The gates thereof are burned with fire. And it came to pass when I heard these words that I sat down and wept and mourned certain days and fasted and prayed before the God of heaven. Nehemiah chapter 2 and verse 1 through 4. The scripture says, and it came to pass in the month of Nisan in the 20th year, Artaxerxes the king, that wine was before him. And I took up the wine and gave it to the king, and now it had not been before time sad in his presence. Wherefore the king said unto me, Why is thy countenance sad, seeing thou art not sick? This is nothing else but sorrow of heart. Then I was very sore afraid, and said unto the king, Let the king live forever. Why should not my countenance be sad? When the city, the place of my father's sepulchres, lieth waste, and the gates thereof are consumed with fire. Passion. Passion seen in its purpose. What is a purpose? Well, purpose is finding the why. Finding the why. Why are you going back, Nehemiah? Well, I think if you look at the reaction to what Nehemiah heard, I think there gives you the why. Nehemiah hears what has happened to his people. He hears that they have been taken or that they are in great affliction. They are a great reproach. The wall of Jerusalem is broken down. The gates have been burned. And as he hears this, he weeps, he mourns, he fasts, and he prays. Same thing in chapter 2. And so you think about what his reaction was to this information. He hears the condition of his people, and this is his why. You think about the greats of the Bible. I couldn't help but to think about our Lord who wept over the Jews, Matthew chapter 23. I couldn't help but to think about Paul who wept over his brethren, 2 Corinthians chapter 4. I couldn't help but to think about Jeremiah who wept till the Bible says his eyes were fountains of tears, weeping day and night for his people, Jeremiah chapter 9 and verse number 1. So here we see Nehemiah. What's he doing? He's mourning, feeling grief, fasting, praying. By the way, it doesn't do this for just a day, 2 days, a week, 4 months. Nehemiah chapter 1, you have the month of, I don't know if I can even pronounce that, Chesleu. Nehemiah chapter 2 and verse 1, the month of Nisan, 4 months. These feelings, these emotions, these concerns, the thought was constantly going on in his mind to where even when the king saw him, he said, Well, what's wrong with you, Nehemiah? There must be something wrong with you. It looks like you're sad. Your countenance is sad. What's wrong? You're not sick. And so it was this feeling, this motive, this reason why, because of his people, because of the condition that the city was in, because of the great need, that was the why that led Nehemiah to go to the city in the first place, to Jerusalem. It was just like Jeremiah 20 verse number 9, a fire that was in his bones. It couldn't be quenched. He caused him to find his purpose. Nehemiah's passion for his city. It moved him to see that something has to be done. I got to do something. I need to do something. I feel for my people. I feel for my city. I got to do something. I've got to move. He was stirred up. Let me ask you this. What stirs you? What moves you? There's plenty in the world. There's plenty that should move us. His why was to serve his people and to serve his God. What moves us? You look out into the world and you survey the things that are going on in the world. There's some crazy people in the world, right? I mean, they are crazy. What is wrong with some of these people? Does that stir you up? Cities being burned, people tearing up the town. Woohoo! We just lost our mind. We're going to tear the town up. They're crazy. What's wrong with them? What's wrong with people? This is June. I didn't know this till today. I seen on Facebook that It's Gay Pride Month. Does that stir you? That kind of vile affection, Romans chapter 1, that kind of vileness, ungodliness would be celebrated in the world in which we live? What about what you see in the church? Is there anything that stirs you by what you see in the church? Anything that moves you, anything that you see that you know that needs to be fixed, that needs to be changed. I feel that there is a great need in this particular area. What is it that stirs you, moves you when we're talking about the church? Brother mentioned the needs of humanity. People that are sick, people that are in need. Are there those kind of things that you see, that you know that needs to be done, that you see as a great need, that would stir you? And so then this leads to this question. If it stirs you, if it moves you, what are you going to do about it? And so Nehemiah, one of the things that we see about Nehemiah is his passion, his concern, his why, that is the care, the concern for his people, for his God. That why led him to do something. That's passion. I don't think we could be passionate about anything if we're not moved to do anything about it, right? I mean, you can sit and think and talk and point and find things that need to be done, should be done, and you could come up with a list, and if it never moves you to do anything about it, then you can't say that you're passionate about that. You can't say that you're passionate about the church and the cause of the church and the work of the church and not do anything about it, not do anything in evangelism, edification, and benevolence. So Nehemiah was moved to do something of the need that he saw. That's passion. Here's the second thing. Nehemiah's passion is seen in his perspective, and passion needs vision. So what is a vision? Well, vision is just the ability to see or to have some kind of idea or to know what may be possible. I'm not talking about superstitious stuff. I'm not talking about looking into a crystal ball. I'm talking about these are things that we can all do. We all can have vision to see what might be possible. There's a need. We look, we see, we think this is what could be, might be, possibly be done, and then work towards that goal. Vision is the thing that is something that can guide us. It's what aspires us. It is what creates in us a desire to improve. You have anything you need to improve on? I do. Okay, well then have some sort of vision that says, I need improvement in this particular area. Let me look and see what the possibility might be. Let me look and see, let me think of what it can be. Whatever it might be. Better Bible student, just a better Christian in general, whatever it might be. Have a vision to see what might be possible and what can be done in order to achieve the goal. Nehemiah was a visionary. In Nehemiah chapter 2, verses 12 through 20, here's what we learn. We learn that Nehemiah could see what was possible and what might be able to take place. And so what does Nehemiah do? Nehemiah chapter 2, verse number 12 beginning. He arises in the night. And what does he do? He goes and he doesn't take, but just, who's he take with him? He says, I take a few men with me. Neither told I any man what my God had put in my heart at Jerusalem. Neither was there any beast with me, save the beast that I rode on. I went out by night, by the gate of the valley, even before the dragon, and to the dung port, and viewed the walls of Jerusalem which were broken down, and the gates thereof were consumed with fire. Verse 14, then I wept. I can't help but to feel like those tears. It's one thing to know a thing that has happened, but then to see it transpire, to actually see it, to witness it. And so he says in verse number 13 or 14, I went to the gate of the fountain of the pool, and there was no place for the beast that was under me. And then I went up by night by the brook, and I viewed the wall, and I turned back and entered the gate of the valley and saw a return. And the rulers knew not whither I went or what I did. Neither had I told it to the Jews, nor to the priests, the nobles, the rulers, or the rest that did the work. Then said I unto them, you see the distress that we are in, how Jerusalem lieth waste, and the gates thereof are burned with fire. Come, let us build the wall of Jerusalem, that we be no more a reproach. Then I told them of the hand of my God, which was good upon me, and also the king's words that had spoken unto me. And they said, let us rise up and build. So they strengthened their hands to do this work. And then here we go, Sanballat and Tobiah. Always got a Sanballat and Tobiah in the picture, don't we? The servant of the Ammonite and Geshem, the Arabian, heard it, and they laughed us to scorn, despised us, and said, what is this thing that ye do? Will ye rebel against the king? Then answered I them, and said unto them, the God of heaven will prosper us. Therefore, we, his servants, will arise and build, and we have no portion, but ye, rather, have no portion, nor right, nor memorial in Jerusalem. So here's what Nehemiah does. Nehemiah surveys all of the wall. He surveys the city. And then what Nehemiah has to do is, because he is a visionary, he goes and he sees it. He sees what can be done. He knows that the wall can be rebuilt. He knows that wall can be rebuilt. And then Nehemiah has to go back and he has to explain to the people and prompt them and encourage them to build that wall. He has to share with him what his vision is. His vision is, yeah, this wall can be built. I seen it. Yeah, it's sad. It hurts to see this city in this condition, but we can do it. And so he had to help them to see what might be possible. And so he had to increase the urgency. He had to help them understand that you can't just be satisfied with the status quo. You can't either. You can't just be satisfied with just what is mediocrity. Arise to do something better. Be better. Do better. And so he had to help them to see that. He had to share with him the fact that the wall can be rebuilt, and they had to focus on that particular task until it was complete, Nehemiah 6 and verse number 15, in 52 days. 52 days. I ran across a quote that says, I preach for a small congregation. There's this quote that says, many small churches are not just small in number, but small in vision. They look at their condition, they think, this is just the way that it is. This is just the new normal. This is just the way it has to be. There's nothing that can be done. They need a vision. They need a visionary. They need plans, ideas, possibilities. They need a Nehemiah to help encourage them to get the work done. There's two other things that we could mention, but I'm not going to for the sake of time, or at least not in depth. I may mention them in passing. Nehemiah's passion was seen in his planning. Brother Westbrook's going to cover that tomorrow, I believe. Nehemiah's passion was seen in his perseverance. We mentioned Tobias a while ago, Sanballat. All the things that stood in the way. He had the officials that stood in his way, the ridicule that stood in his way, the threats, the traps, the plots to hurt him, insecurity. Well, we can't do this. What are we going to do? This work is hard. You know, you have all of these things. Indifference, cowardice, worldliness. Nehemiah 4 and verse number 11. Our adversaries, they that will neither know nor see anything till we come in their midst and kill them, cause the work to cease. They were afraid of their adversaries. I get that. The false accusations. You know, all the enemies. Nehemiah chapter 6, you have the false accusations that come. And here's the point. You don't have to let those things stand in your way. You can be faithful. You don't have to buy into all the negativity. You don't have to buy into the naysayers. You don't have to let people define you. You don't have to be confined and hindered. Nehemiah directed their attention. He got their attention. He directed their attention. And they kept building. They kept preparing. Am I out? Okay. I thought this was interesting. Nehemiah closes at the same place that he began. Seeking God's help. And that's what we all need to do. In our struggles, our difficulties, our trials, the walls that we're trying to build, let's seek God's help.
Speech on. Music. Hearing. Page 1 of screen mirror brightness. Select lock rotation. Selected. Screen record.